Hey friends, it's Jake Quinn. I hope y'all don't mind the change of scenery for this video. I decided I want to get a little bit more personal than just throwing up a wide angle lens in the corner. That, and I've been working from home, so I have like 2 Mac Pro set up on my desk. It's a catastrophe over there. But today I want to talk to you about a movie called Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, which could alternatively be known as Caitlin Dever and Grimes Go to New York. In all seriousness, this movie's a lot of things. If you're watching this video, then that means Focus Features has made it available to stream, so you could watch it immediately right after this video is over. And I'm here today because I think that that's something you should absolutely 100% do. Not only because it's one of the most gripping experiences I've had in a theater in so long, but because it's the movie I've always wanted to make. So as you may or may not know, last year I directed my thesis film. It was a short called Verbatim, and it was made possible by an extraordinary number of very generous people who donated to the GoFundMe and just offered their support along every step of the process. It's about an 18-year-old girl named Casey who's raped the night before her high school graduation, and the psychological trauma and the social backlash that she has to endure while coming to grips with what happened and beginning the process of healing. And obviously, given the subject matter, it was a very personal project for me. My freshman and sophomore years of college were spent largely popping all sorts of bubbles that I had bed in coming out of a Catholic high school and learning about the countless types of silent suffering that so many people so close to me had been going through totally underneath my nose. 2 people in particular who I was extremely close to came out to me about their brutal experiences with sexual assault, and I was mortified. I had always known that rape was fucking terrible, obviously, but I had never known or been told or been in any way exposed to how multifaceted its ugly effects could be. And on top of that, this was during the time of that filthy cuck Brock Turner's rape case and the laughable 3-month sentence they gave him. And because of that, I at one point found myself reading the letter that his victim wrote to him. And if you've never read it, I'll link it below because it's one of the most eye-opening, important things I've ever read. If you're a human being in our society, you should be obliged to read it. It's something they should teach in schools. But the point is, after learning about all this shit that was going on around me that I had no idea about, I was angry. I was fucking pissed. I was sickened to learn the extent of what these victims had been going through, and I felt blindsided by all the institutions out there that were doing nothing but making it so much fucking worse. I just felt moved to do something, and that something happened to end up being Verbatim. And so I wrote it, and then a few years later, it existed, albeit as a proof of concept short rather than a feature. Now, in terms of artistic and personal growth, college is a long 4 years. And so I've had plenty of time to think about what I want Verbatim as a feature-length film to be. And after seeing Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, I realized that that movie is it. It's everything I wanted Verbatim to be and more. It's the movie I wanted to make, but just wasn't experienced enough and mature enough and capable of enough restraint to make. Now, of course, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always has a totally different subject matter, but I think the theme of silent suffering and these social, economic issues is virtually identical. Never, Rarely is about Autumn, who's a 17-year-old girl in rural Pennsylvania who finds out she's pregnant and has to travel from rural Pennsylvania to the heart of Manhattan to be able to find a place that'll allow her an abortion. And it feels weird to give the movie like a log line description like that because a single sentence can't really encompass all of the layers and emotions and considerations that the character Autumn goes through. One of the producers, Adele Romansky, in an interview with her and Barry Jenkins, who made fucking Moonlight, said that calling Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always an abortion drama is reductive. And that kind of special, intangible experience that the film puts you through can't really be distilled into one sentence, much like life. And Autumn is one of the truest characters I've ever encountered in a film. It feels weird to call her a character. She feels like someone I know. And where else this uncanny grasp of reality shows up in the film is how it makes you anxious about scenarios that don't even end up happening. Now, without giving anything specific away, the film suggests all of the innumerable struggles and dangers that women like Autumn and her cousin Skylar are vulnerable to. And while maintaining its minimalism and its restraint, the director Eliza Hittman is just magically somehow able to convey this attack on all fronts that so many women live their lives going through. It's heart-wrenching. I found myself just digging my nails into my skin the whole time and just legitimately writhing in my seat. Florida Project director Sean Baker was actually at the same screening as me a couple rows back, and I feel bad for the guy because at one point I found myself doing just this, and I don't know for how long, but I hope I didn't distract the poor man because he probably thought I was fucking dancing, but no, I was just halfway to a full-fledged panic attack. So with all that being said, if you're someone who knows me personally, and especially if you're someone who in any way, shape, or form helped make Verbatim possible, please watch Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. It's the movie I've always wanted to make. If I lived in a universe where I had no sort of restrictions or logistical or financial things to worry about, and I was as skilled of a filmmaker as I hope I one day will be, it's best case scenario what Verbatim would have been. Eliza Hittman has done something remarkable. But I'll include links below of everything I've mentioned in this video, including a book and a documentary in particular that I watched while I was writing Verbatim that I found extremely eye-opening. But don't worry about those quite yet. Just go see Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. I don't know if it's going to be on Amazon or Netflix or whatever, but it will be linked below. It's the nature of a movie like this to get seen, so see it, spread the word. Don't let this pandemic ruin something truly special and this fucking important. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe.